graders, it's Mr. Vieira. Happy Valentine's Day. Super excited for you. You're going to be receiving all kinds of goodies and cards from friends. Love it. It's good. What I want you to consider, I want you to take those goodies home and eat them at home. Please don't bring them to school, because when you bring them to school, it's not good. It just makes an ugly mess on our campus, gives Mr. George more work. We don't want that. He works hard enough already. And then our hands are sticky, and the papers and pencils stick to our hands, and we can't write, and so we don't want that. Anyway, this week you're going to be doing a lot of fun things, a lot of learning, a lot of collaborating with your friends, a lot of speaking, listening, and learning, and I'm really excited for you. And I also want to give a shout out to our friends who 8 friends of ours who had perfect attendance this year. Can you believe that? That means that they came to school every single day. Yes, so I want to make sure that I let Leia know that I'm proud of her, and congratulations. And then also Javi in Mr. Duron's class, and Julian, and Candace, and then in kindergarten. So those are all second graders. I think that Leia's in Miss Castillo's class, but I could be wrong. And then Mac in Senora Diaz's class, and Kane in Senora Diaz's class, and Violet also in Senora Diaz's class. That's pretty amazing. There's been a lot of illness going around, and so it's really hard to come to school every day and be here on time. And so I want you to make sure that you work on staying healthy as much as you can. You wash your hands. You keep your fingers and hands away from your face, meaning your mouth, nose, and eyes, because those are the places where you can get the illness the most. So make sure that you don't touch that, and you wash your hands quite a bit. And then also you can use some hand sanitizer if you have some in the classroom. Do that. All right. Also, another thing I want to mention, this is for my second graders. So second graders, are you paying attention? Listen up. You might need to sit down, show me what it looks like to listen, to be a good listener with your body. Got it? All right. So this week during lunch, Mr. Ephraim is going to be on your playground doing some activities with you. Now here's the thing. You haven't had soccer in a long time. And that's because you kind of have shown that you're not ready to play soccer because of the way that you treat one another on the campus, on the playground. You make fun of people, you put people down. You're not really a good sport. So you're going to practice that so that you can have soccer, because I really want you to have soccer. And so, but I just can't have you have soccer and not be kind to people on our campus, right? So with Mr. Ephraim, you're going to practice including people, so that the boys aren't saying, no girls allowed. We don't want that. Everyone gets to play. And then so that if, someone does something spectacular, you all cheer for that person, and you congratulate them, and you encourage them. And if someone doesn't do something well because they're still learning and their body's still learning how to do these movements, which is totally natural, that happens all the time, we don't laugh at them, or we don't put them down. We don't say, oh, you don't know how to kick, right? We don't do that. But what we could do is encourage them and say, hey, next time, or something like that, right? So that when we are on the playground, we are showing one another respect, because that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that we're respecting each other, we're including each other, and we're taking care of our playground. Those are the things that we want to root for, we want to work for, because those are the things that earn you a brag tag, and it just makes you a phenomenal Bixby Beaver. And that's what's most important. We want you to be a phenomenal Bixby Beaver. So I know that this is for my second graders. This message is for the second graders about Mr. Ephraim, but the expectations, you don't have to be in second grade to treat people well, to be a good sport, to be kind to people on the playground. You can be a kindergartner, first grader, third grader, fourth grader, and fifth grader to be able to do that. And so I encourage everyone to do that. But second graders, because I want you to have soccer back, we're going to work on earning soccer back. Sound good? Good.
Hey there, Brunos and Brunettes. It's Bragtag Bruno here with this week's lesson on respect. Now, we've talked about respecting others, respecting classmates and schoolmates, respecting yourself, but we haven't really touched on respecting your teachers. Now, when Mr. Vieira comes into classrooms, sometimes he encounters students who are listening, and sometimes he doesn't. And he and I have had a conversation about this, and I've asked him, "Hey, Mr. Vieira, so how do you know when a student isn't listening?" And you know what he says? He says, "I can tell by their body." And I thought about that, and I thought, it's true. Whenever he and I are having conversations, I try not to do my push-ups or pull-ups or jumping jacks or jump rope, because I want to hear everything he's got to say. And when we're having lunch sometimes, I like to tell him about all the body slams and figure four leg locks and all of the moves that I make. And he likes to listen and hear about how I've become champion of the world and how I got these big muscles too. Well, I know he's listening because sometimes his eyes are on me. Well, not sometimes, actually, all of the times. See, when somebody is talking and you want to show that you're listening, you want to put your eyes on them. In other words, you look at them. That's how you show you're listening. You can also listen with your hands. Like I said, when Mr. Vieira and I are talking, I don't like to, do any push-ups and jumping jacks and such because that shows I'm not interested in what he's got to say. So I keep my hands still, and I pay attention to him. And then, the other thing I do is, if we're sitting down, I kind of lean in to let him know that I'm listening. See, because that shows the other person that I'm interested in what they're saying. So I lean in. You should try that too in your classrooms. The other thing I do is I try to listen with my heart. That's right. Oftentimes I'm listening with my biceps. But when I'm talking to Mr. Vieira, I like to listen with my heart because he's got some good things to say. And oftentimes the things that he has to say make me feel good. That Mr. Vieira is a special dude. Also, obviously, I listen with my ears. Because if I'm not listening with my ears, I'm not going to know what that person has to say. And I'll forget. And I got big muscles and such, but I also need to make sure I got a big brain. So I got to listen to that Mr. Vieira. And then with my feet, too. I like to fidget sometimes because I like being in the ring. But when I'm talking to Mr. Vieira, I like to keep my feet still so that I can hear all he has to say. And not disrupt anybody else who might be listening too. And then another thing I try to do is listen with my brain. Because when someone's talking to me, if your teacher's talking to you, it's obvious why you need to listen with your brain. Because it makes you smarter. That's right. So listening with your brain means that you're not thinking about other things. You're just focused on what the teacher's telling you. And then, this is an important thing. You want to listen with your mouth. Some of you might be going, "What? My mouth doesn't listen. My ears listen." That's true. Your ears listen. But you can listen by your mouth by giving it a rest. Because you can't be listening when this thing is moving. Right? So you want to make sure that you're listening with your body. See, we call that whole body listening. And when you listen with your body, you can become a better listener. And you'll become smarter. And that shows that you are showing respect to your teachers by listening with your whole body. You know what? I know Mr. Vieira is going to be walking in your classrooms and probably asking you to show him what it means like to listen with your body. Show off. Show him how you do it. Don't wait till he asks you or tells you to do it. Just do it on your own, even when he's not there. It'll show that you are showing respect to your teacher. It'll make you a better learner, too. Got it? Good. One last thing. I keep hearing that a bunch of students are bringing their brag tags to the office. And, at some point in our school year, we have been receiving brag tags in the office. But now, there's a place where you can drop them off at lunchtime. So, this is what I want you to do moving forward. Take your brag tags and drop them off at lunch on the playground, not in the office, because we want to make sure that you are on the playground and not on the office side of the red line. People don't know where you are, and if something happens to you, no one can take care of you. So stay on the playground side. If you don't know where the box is for the brag tags, ask one of the rec leaders. They'll let you know. Got it? Good. Now do it!
Well, who is Ruby Bridges? Well, Ruby Bridges was a brave child who inspired millions. She's an activist and a speaker, and she's still carrying on the legacy that she started as a young child. In this video, we're going to share her story, and it starts right here. Ruby Bridges was born in 1954 in Tylertown, Mississippi, and when she was 4 years old, her family moved to New Orleans. Back then, in the southern United States, things were segregated. The word segregated means separated by race. It was terrible. People were treated differently just because of the color of their skin. They had to go to different schools, different restaurants, even use different water fountains. Segregation was unfair and unjust. It treated people differently just because of the color of their skin. Thankfully, in 1954, the Supreme Court ruled that schools should not be segregated. This was huge. The highest court in the United States was finally ruling that schools should not be segregated. In their ruling, they made it clear everyone deserves a good education. We should not treat people differently. We should let everyone have a chance to learn and to get access to the best education they can. We don't want things to be unfair. Even though they made this decision in 1954, the same year that Ruby Bridges was born, it took 6 years for the states to actually follow the Supreme Court ruling. That means for her kindergarten year, Ruby wasn't allowed to go to the school closest to her, which was so unfair. She had to go far away to another school just because things were segregated. She was an amazing student and passed a test that allowed her to be a part of the change. So on November 14th, 1960, Ruby Bridges became the first African-American child to integrate a Southern elementary school. U.S. Marshals had to help her to make sure that she was safe when she went to school. It wasn't easy. People yelled at her and threw things at her, but she was brave. In fact, the U.S. Marshals were so amazed that this little girl could be so brave and so strong. At her new school, her teacher was Barbara Henry. You could see her right here. Ruby was the only person in her class, so Barbara Henry was able to teach her one-on-one. They met again years later. Barbara Henry was so proud of the woman Ruby has become. It's awesome. Ruby still speaks for school justice today, and she started the Ruby Bridges Foundation and has given so much and has spoken to so many groups about this important subject of school justice, which is still an important issue today. Ruby Bridges, a brave child who inspired millions, an activist, a speaker who has never given up on what she believes in. She was an inspiration to so many people when they saw this little girl who was so brave and so courageous, and Ruby is still fighting for what's right today. Thanks so much for watching this video on Ruby Bridges, an incredible inspiration to so many people, and she's still inspiring people today. We appreciate you watching, and we hope to see you